Hi everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I'm still on my mission for the perfect spiral chameleon pour. Every pour I've done, the cells have been too small, the paints have been slightly too thick. So I'm going thinner and I'm going for a really bold colour scheme which has a potential for being a disaster. Basically greens and some sort of pinky purples. If they muddy, I'll get brown. They probably will muddy because they're going to be runnier. So it's a bit of a gamble, but I'm desperate to do greens because it's warm and it just feels fresh outside, spring-like, summer-like. So I really want to do greens. So let's get started. So the colours I've got for this pour: green, a bright apple green, dark sap green, iridescent green yellow, Venetian rose, a violet, yellow and gold. So I'm putting green and Venetian rose next to each other. Could make brown, but I've got to put them somewhere. I've got to put these colours next to them somewhere just for the contrast. So my consistency, it's really runny, so I'm nervous. I'm so nervous of this, but every time my paints are too thick. So I've gone with my normal recipe of 3 to 2, 3 parts pouring medium to 2 parts paint, and then I've just kept adding water till it gets like this. So it does leave a mound, it leaves a trace, half a second. I'm going to layer up 4 cups, I think. I don't like even numbers at all, but I think 5, unless I do 5 cups, but just 1 layer of each colour. I think if I did 1 massive cup, there's much more chance of muddying because there will be so many more layers that will interact with each other. Whereas if I think, yeah, let's do 5, but have just 1 layer in each cup of each colour. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to layer them all differently. And I'm going to layer them, I'm going to pour the paint down the side of the cup because then there's less chance of muddying. So I'm using a 40cm canvas. So I've got to flip these quite quickly because the paint is so runny. They will it will just spill out everywhere. But luckily the cups aren't full. If the cups were full, I would be getting it everywhere right now. So my plan will be just to tip the cups over outwards so that the paint will fall into the middle of the canvas. Wow. Wow, that is stunning. Wow, what a colour combination. So there are cells popping up, but they are not from silicone. There's no silicone in this. It's just from the air bubbles. Right, let's get this canvas covered. I don't really need to put a flow extender down because I think I've got enough paint on here. Because the paint's so nice and runny, it can stretch a really nice long way. I'm just stretching it first just to make sure it's going to cover everything. Yep, and then I can start going off over the edge. I'm not particularly taking my time with this because the composition, although the composition is important, it's not everything with this, because once I start dotting the oil on, it will change so much. So I could spend a long time getting a nice composition here, but it doesn't really matter. So I tend to just try and get all the edges covered, and then I'll have a look at it, and looking more, instead of for composition, I'm really looking for the balance of the colours. Wow, this is really, really exciting. I don't know what my cells will look like when they pop up with the silicone. They may be muddy cells, but I'm pretty impressed that this hasn't muddied very much. There's maybe a little bit of muddying, or it's just the gold. So I think it's, if you're risking getting a muddy result, it's actually worth adding in a colour that resembles that muddy colour, the gold. So actually, oh, wow, I love this. So that then it blends in more with the gold. Wow. I'm absolutely shocked that there isn't lots of brown in this. I think the trick was definitely to just put one layer of each colour, to have more cups than less. I hope the lighting is all right. I hope you can see this okay. I had my light turned away because it seemed to be causing this flickering, but then I think it was too dark, so I put the light back, and I can see on the screen it does look like it's flickering a bit, so I hope it's not too distracting. Right, just first, before I start this now, I just wanted to say, wow, thin paints, you can do a flip cup without silicone, because if you thin the paints down, you just get such incredible interactions of paint. If they were thick colours, you'd get much more solid bands of colour, but thinner paints and some transparency to the paints, so not totally opaque paints. Wow, I just am amazed by this result. It feels a little bit sad to go and change this now, but I will. That's what I set out to do on this pour. So the oil I'm going to use to make the cells is coconut milk hair serum. It's made by a company called OGX. I've just bought this on Amazon. And then I'm going to use a little wooden skewer. Excuse the state of my hands. I run out of gloves. So I'm just going to dip the end of the skewer into the oil and then dip it into the paint. So I'm just going to do one right in the centre, what I think is the centre first. And I want to see the size of the cell, because I want to try and gauge how much or how close together to put these dots. So I don't know how long it takes for these cells to fully develop, but quite a while. So I guess I'm just gauging it to start with. Right, I've just noticed something really interesting. There's a little tiny air bubble at the edge of that cell, and that air bubble is totally distorting the bubble, the cell. That's really interesting. So I'm just going to give this a really good torch. So it's going to create lots of little cells, but that won't matter because I'm going to dip the silicone in. But I guess I just don't want the air bubbles, because that will distort the cells that I'm going to be creating. I've actually done it. I'm happy. no more chameleon paws. You must be getting really bored of my chameleon paws, but this is what I wanted. You can see the big cells, you can see the definition in the cells, and you can also see they're in a spiral. And this colour scheme is amazing. I cannot believe how well these colours work together in terms of the not muddying. There is no muddying. I'm actually lost for words. I cannot believe this has worked this well. I am so excited. That one cell in the centre, I think maybe spoilt this idea of a spiral, because I ended up being more circular around that one spot. And that one spot in the centre is the biggest still in the whole painting. Over time, the next half an hour or so, the outside cells will still keep expanding. So this isn't quite how it's going to be when it's finished. So you can see at the edge, they're still a bit smaller. They will keep expanding. And these little gaps, I think, in between will close up even more. But wow. So you can see all the separate colours, the Venetian rose, the different greens, the yellow, the violet. Where's the muddying? It's not there. The gold is, the gold is there. I would say I think the gold looks like it's the muddier colour. So maybe the gold actually wasn't necessary after all. It's not very obvious, the gold. I think the only place I can see it is in between the cells there. Oh, I'm, he's so excited. Lost for words, so excited. Finally, I feel like I've done it. So I'll be back when it's dry. So I think this has to be one of my favourite ever pours, and it is simply because of the colours, pink and green and yellow. I just am absolutely amazed. I've managed it without the brown, muddying any brown. Love how bright, how, sort of psychedelic it is. And I've got my circle. The spiral, again, still isn't totally obvious, but you can definitely see the rings this time, definitely see them. So I've still got that one large cell right in the centre. Really like this section. So the yellow and that violet colour, so pretty. I was going to be doing just greens, so I'm so glad I added the pinks as well and the violet, because I just think the combination is fab. And I love the way all the cells change shape as they hit each other, as they touch each other. So you get this kind of hexagonal effect, and you've got it there in the centre as well. So yeah, it's going to be Marmite, this painting. Not everyone will love it. A lot of people really won't like it, but I love the idea of it. I love the colours. I love the craziness of it. Please let me know what you think. Please drop a comment below. Please do subscribe to my channel. Right, thanks for watching. Bye.